Disney probably wishes they had Shadow the Hedgehog right now. Sega is probably foaming at the mouth just of sheer excitement about the type of thrill and enamor people are seeming to have with this character almost for the first time even. I mean, Shadow has been around almost just as long as Sonic, and yet there has probably never been this much general hype over the character since the release of that trailer. You have people talking about, the Sonic and Shadow rivalry or bromance, if you will, which, publicity is publicity, right? And at this point, we'll take all of it. And, you know, I'm sure it genuinely helps when you have actors like Idris Elba staying on to voice Knuckles the Hedgehog, who is very popular with a lot of people. Actors like Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow. That is a major deal. You have, let's see who we have here. There's a couple. You have People Entertainment reporting on it. You have CNET, your classic kind of Nintendo Life, Fandom Wire, news outlets who just do general gaming news. But when you have like People Entertainment kind of talking about Keanu Reeves, those are the types of headlines that they're looking for, and those are the types of headlines that the Sonic Movie 3 has given them. It's not just the fact that these big names are attached to this movie that has been making it such a big deal. I mean, the Sonic fans at the core of it are what are propelling this franchise, this movie franchise to be exact, into the stratosphere. I mean, if you didn't have Sonic fans time and time again coming back and, hounding Sega to be better and do better, you wouldn't have this. I mean, if you look back to the first Sonic movie trailer, like the Sonic 1 movie trailer, look at Sonic's model. Like, that was terrifying. I was fighting for my life, trying to make any sense of normalcy with that model, like with my friends and community. And it's just like, it just wasn't happening. There was no getting around that model just was not it. But when you have the fans, people outspoken in the community kind of coming together to be like, no, like, we care about this. So then you have them change that. You have people like Tyson Hess, who is a well-renowned kind of artist for the Sonic franchise, especially as of late, come in and redesign it. And now you see that translate into how good Shadow looks. That's important. That's massively important. So you take that and you take Keanu Reeves voicing it, and that is just strictly a recipe for success. I would be hard-pressed to see a sudden downturn of momentum from here. I mean, that first trailer, just phenomenal. You get really beautiful shots from, the team showcasing Shadow, showcasing Sonic and friends. And, obviously Shadow's the standout, right? You have him doing some iconic action sequences from his games, you have him full on speaking. I was afraid that they were going to save Keanu's voice for like maybe a later trailer, but you have Keanu being Keanu, and I honestly think that fits the character Shadow really well. I'm more used to Shadow having like a darker, brooder tone, almost like a Batman, but I definitely think Keanu is doing this more debonair type of kind of sultry deep for the character, and I think it works really well, and I'm really interested to see and hear him speak full sentences. That's just going to be really exciting to see with the character, and there's a whole lot that could be discussed, but ultimately I think everybody in the media community right now, especially Hollywood, I'm sure these Hollywood execs, especially at Paramount, are genuinely very enthusiastic and very impressed by the type of reception that this movie has had. I guess it's cliche, and it's been said time and time again that usually gaming movies don't really do that well, but this has been the third go-around at this, and it just keeps getting better and better. And I think the reason, there's an argument to be had about the Sonic movie franchise, especially as right now with Shadow being involved, kind of pacing better, at least as of recently, than Marvel, for example. You just have consistency, right? You have these characters developing movie to movie, which is a formula that Marvel is very familiar with. And I think maybe Paramount, to a certain extent, and maybe the writers have kind of embraced that in a sense, because they are kind of in this subset of movie franchise, right? Or I'm not sorry, of superhero movie franchises, one or the other. That's really special to see how that kind of influence is benefiting Sonic. And I think what they've been able to take, they're currently doing, better. They're giving the doctor a taste of their own medicine in the sense. And that is actually a perfect segue into talking about Jim Carrey as Robotnik. Because yes, I've mentioned Idris, I've mentioned Keanu, but Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was supposed to retire, and this isn't new news to anybody. After Sonic Movie 2, he kind of teased that he was, done. But here he is, and as we see at the end of the trailer, it teases his inclusion as Gerald Robotnik, not just Robotnik / Dr. Eggman. Gerald is his grandfather, and in the games, it's not common knowledge that Gerald does die, and actually rather experiences a pretty dark death at the hands of the fake government gun in the game series. So it's really interesting to see his full-on commitment to this movie franchise, and if he's playing Gerald, it kind of lends itself to believe that maybe there's more to come after Sonic Movie 3, and it's just crazy to even think that far ahead. I know right now I'm really just kind of rambling about like how the craziness that is this movie, but it really does kind of speak to the type of momentum that it has, where people are looking even further ahead into the future because we're just excited. I think there's just this overall general excitement about it, and I know I touched on earlier about the fans, but to kind of circle back to that, of course you had the fans kind of encouraging the staff and team, the VFX artists, God bless their hearts, to recreate Sonic and Friends and make them the best they can ever look. But a lot of that also has to do is a testament to, whatever team of writers is kind of cooking up these references, because in the new Sonic Movie 3 trailer, you have, an orchestral arrangement of Live and Learn, which is the iconic theme song from Sonic Adventure 2. The amount of times I've listened to Live and Learn, just hearing it kind of like orchestrally remade it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. I'm glad that they're moving, even though they had it for a second, I'm glad that they're mainly moving past the Green Hill kind of orchestral. And don't get me wrong, beautiful arrangements, of course. I love orchestral arrangements, and especially when it comes to movies, any type of theme motif for anything is always so greatly appreciated. In gaming, you see that more frequently, kind of like these themes and kind of musical motifs, especially for example, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a great example of a recent game that is just superb. So hopefully they can take some of that, and it seems like they already are, especially given with Live and Learn, and throw even more of that into the movie, because we had it briefly in the first and second one, but it was still mainly, big licensed songs. Yeah, for the general audience, that's good. That's good enough. But for the fans, we're already seeing that they're doing such a semi-faithful adaptation of the original plot, with Shadow breaking out of Prison Island, Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Gerald Robotnik, and Maria being featured in the movie. You see almost kind of a tease of Maria dying, which is, look, this is the only instance where I might pop off at the death of a character in a theater, because I'm just so glad that they didn't kind of omit that fact from Shadow's backstory. I think it's so important to who he is, and I think it really does kind of tee up his character development, or the type of character he's going to be rather in this movie. So I just love that. I think it's great. I think it's also really nice that you have little inclusions like the Chow Garden being a kind of Chuck E. Cheese-esque restaurant in the trailer. And then you have, Shadow on his motorcycle, which is just so iconic, and it's so damn cool to see how they've animated it. The VFX artist, truly amazing job. Seeing him do the Akira slide, again, I'm not the first to say this, but it is just, I just wanted to gush about it. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a rambling, but a necessary rambling, I think, for the heart, at least for me. So I'm glad I was able to come on here. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the Sonic Movie 3 trailer. And yeah, hopefully we can kind of ride this train of kind of just good feels for Sonic, and especially the movie and the upcoming video game releases. It's just a good time. And yeah, I hope if you aren't too familiar with Sonic, this piqued your interest. But yeah, anyways, have a good rest of your day, you guys. My name was Marco, and I'll see you guys around.